The stars looked different from the bridge of the Zelani warship Aurora. Captain Vera Zixnala stood with her 6 eyes focused on the viewing screen. Her purple skin showed the scars of many battles across the galaxy. She had led her people to victory on 17 different worlds. Today would be number 18. "Captain, we have reached the target system," reported Commander Jake Morrison. He was young for a Zelani officer, with bright green markings across his face that showed his noble birth. 3 planets show signs of life. The 3rd one looks perfect for our needs." Vera clicked her mandibles together, a sign of pleasure among her people. "Show me this world." The screen filled with a blue and green planet. White clouds swirled across continents covered in green forests and brown deserts. 2 large ice caps sat at the top and bottom of the world. It looked peaceful and rich. "What do we know about the beings who live there?" Vera asked Lieutenant. Kevin Blake, the ship's intelligence officer, pulled up his reports. "The species calls themselves humans. They have basic technology, but no space travel. They use primitive weapons and have not left their planet. Our scouts say they should be easy to defeat." Vera walked closer to the screen. She had conquered many worlds, but this one felt different. The planet looked too perfect, too rich. Usually, worlds this good had strong defenders. "Are you sure they have no space weapons?" she asked. "Very sure, Captain. They have flying machines and some satellites, but nothing that can reach us here. Their energy signatures are scattered and weak. They seem to spend most of their time fighting each other instead of building defenses." This made Vera feel better. Species that fought among themselves were usually weak when facing outside threats. They could not work together when danger came from the stars. "How many ships do they have?" she asked. "None that can leave their atmosphere, Captain. They have ocean vessels and aircraft, but nothing that can threaten us." Dr. Lisa Grant, the expedition science officer, looked up from her station. Her skin was darker blue than the others, marking her as a scholar rather than a warrior. "Captain, I am seeing some strange readings from the planet's surface." "What kind of readings?" Vera asked. "Energy spikes across the continents. They happen in patterns, like the humans are conducting large experiments or tests. Some of these energy releases are quite powerful." Commander Morrison laughed. "Probably just their primitive industry. We have seen this before on other worlds. They burn fossil fuels and split atoms for power. Nothing to worry about." But Dr. Grant looked concerned. "Captain, some of these energy signatures are larger than anything we have seen from a pre-space civilization, and they happen very frequently." Vera considered this. In her experience, primitive worlds sometimes had dangerous surprises. But her fleet was strong. 12 ships filled with the best weapons her people could build. Her soldiers had trained for decades. These humans, who could not even leave their world, would not stand a chance. "Begin standard approach," she ordered. "Move the fleet into attack position around their planet. Prepare landing forces." The Zelani ships moved through space like deadly fish swimming through dark water. Each ship was over a kilometer long, covered in weapons and shields. Their hulls were made of metals that could resist almost any attack. Inside, thousands of warriors prepared for battle. On the Aurora, the crew watched the human world grow larger on their screens. Cities covered, with lights dotted the continents. The humans had built many settlements, but they seemed spread out and undefended. "Look at how they live," Commander Morrison said. "They have built their cities with no thought of defense. No shields, no orbital platforms, no warning systems. This will be the easiest conquest we have ever attempted." Lieutenant Blake was monitoring. "Human communications. Captain, they are sending out many radio signals. Most seem to be entertainment or commercial messages. But I am picking up some military communications." "What are they saying?" Vera asked. It is hard to translate, but they seem to be discussing routine activities. Training exercises, supply movements, normal military business. Nothing that suggests they know we are here. Dr. Grant continued to study her readings. Captain, I am detecting several concerning patterns. The humans appear to have weapons that can create very large explosions. And they have many of these weapons. Nuclear devices, Commander Morrison said with a wave of his hand. Most species develop these before they achieve space travel. They are too primitive to threaten us. But Vera was starting to feel uneasy. Something about this world did not feel right. The humans seemed too calm, too organized. Most primitive species panicked when they detected alien ships. These humans seemed to be going about their normal business. Are you certain they cannot detect us? She asked. Our stealth systems are perfect, Captain. No primitive radar can find us at this distance. Then why do I feel like they are watching us? The question hung in the air like a bad smell. The crew exchanged worried glances. Their captain had good instincts, and her feelings had saved them many times before. Maintain alert status, Vera ordered. Something feels wrong about this world. As the Zelani fleet moved closer to Earth, none of them noticed the small objects that detached from several asteroids in the outer system. These objects looked like space rocks, but they contained advanced sensors and communication equipment. They had been watching the alien ships since they entered the system. Deep beneath a mountain on Earth, General Patricia Morgan stared at her screens. She had been tracking the alien fleet for 3 days, ever since they passed the orbit of Jupiter. 12 ships, each 1 kilometer long, moving toward Earth with clear hostile intent. Status report, she said to her staff. All defensive systems are active, General. The fleet is moving exactly as our computers predicted. They should reach optimal range in 6 hours. And our response? Ready on your command, General. Every nation has confirmed their participation. We have been preparing for this day for 70 years. General Morgan nodded. The alien ships thought they were approaching a primitive world filled with helpless beings. They had no idea that Earth had been ready for this moment since the day. Humans first looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. Let them come, she said quietly. Let them think we are helpless. When they land, they will learn why this galaxy has been so quiet for so long. The Zelani fleet continued its approach, confident in their superior technology and experience. They had no way of knowing that they were flying into the most carefully prepared trap in galactic history. Earth waited, patient and ready, for the war to begin. The Zelani shuttle dropped through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Inside, Commander Tyler Ross checked his weapons for the 3rd time. He had led many first contact missions, and they always followed the same pattern. Land near a population. Center. Demonstrate superior technology. Demand surrender. Most species gave up without a fight once they saw alien weapons. Approaching landing zone, announced the pilot. Scans show a small settlement ahead. Fewer than 10,000 humans in the area. Tyler looked at his squad of 12 warriors. They wore the best armor the Zelani could make, with personal shields that could stop any primitive weapon. Their energy rifles could cut through steel like paper. Against humans with their simple guns and explosives, it would be no contest. Remember the plan, Tyler told his squad. We capture some humans for questioning, destroy any resistance, and signal the fleet. Keep it simple and quick. The shuttle touched down in a field outside the small town of Riverside, Montana. The landing kicked up dust and scared nearby cattle. Within minutes, the Zelani squad was marching toward the town. Their weapons ready. Sheriff Danny Cooper was drinking coffee at his desk when the calls started coming in. First report was from old Pete Williams, who claimed a UFO had landed in his pasture. Then Mary Collins called about strange lights in the sky. Finally, Teenager Bobby Martinez sent a video to the sheriff's phone that made Danny's blood run cold. 12 tall aliens with purple skin and too many eyes were walking toward town. They carried weapons that hummed with energy and wore armor that looked like nothing humans had ever built. Danny had been sheriff for 15 years. He had dealt with everything from drunk drivers to drug dealers to domestic violence. But this was different. This was what he had trained for in the Army Reserve, what he had prepared for during those secret briefings from federal agents. He grabbed his radio. "This is Sheriff Cooper. Code Black. Repeat. Code Black. All units respond to Riverside immediately." Code Black was the signal that had been drilled into law enforcement across the country for decades. It meant one thing: contact with hostile alien forces. Within minutes, Danny's phone was ringing. The caller ID showed a number he had memorized but hoped never to use. "Sheriff Cooper, this is General Morgan. We are tracking the situation. Hold position and await backup. Do not engage until support arrives. General, they are walking toward my town. I have civilians to protect. Help is coming, Sheriff. Fighter jets are en route. Army units are being deployed. But I need you to keep those aliens busy until we get there." Danny grabbed his rifle and ran to his patrol car. As he drove toward the landing site, he called his deputy, Frank Miller. "Frank, wake up every hunter in the county. Tell them to bring their best rifles and meet me at the Williams farm. We have a situation." The word spread quickly through the small town. Riverside had always been a tight community, and when danger threatened, people came together. Within 30 minutes, over 40 armed civilians had gathered at the edge of town. Old Pete Williams, a Vietnam veteran, carried his hunting rifle and a grim expression. "Danny, what are we dealing with here?" "Hostile aliens, Pete. 12 of them, armed and dangerous. They landed in your back pasture and are heading this way." "Well," Pete said with a dry laugh, "I always wondered what I would do if aliens invaded. Guess I'm about to find out." The Zelani squad stopped at the edge of town when they saw the humans waiting for them. Tyler had expected panic and confusion. Instead, he found organized resistance. The humans had taken cover behind vehicles and buildings. They held weapons with steady hands and watched the aliens with calm eyes. "This is unusual," Tyler said to his squad. "Most primitives run when they see us." "Maybe they do not understand what we are," suggested one of his warriors. Tyler activated his universal translator and stepped forward. "Attention humans, we are the Zelani. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender and you will not be harmed." Sheriff Cooper stepped out from behind his patrol car. "This is Sheriff Danny Cooper. You are trespassing on private property and threatening civilians. Leave immediately or face the consequences." Tyler laughed. The human was brave but stupid. "You cannot threaten us, primitive. Our technology is far beyond yours. Submit now, or we will demonstrate our power." Danny had been in firefights before, in Iraq and Afghanistan. He recognized the sound of someone trying to intimidate him. "I am giving you one last warning. Leave now. You dare threaten us?" Tyler raised his energy rifle. "We have conquered 17 worlds. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us." "Only one way to find out," Danny said, and opened fire. The first shot from Danny's rifle struck Tyler's energy shield and bounced off harmlessly. But it was a signal to every human in the area. 40 rifles opened fire at once, filling the air with bullets. The Zelani had never faced anything like it. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons and single projectiles. But the humans were using multiple types of ammunition at once. Armor-piercing rounds mixed with explosive bullets and even some experimental smart rounds that Frank Miller had acquired through military contacts. 3 Zelani warriors fell in the first 10 seconds of the fight. Their shields overloaded from the variety of impacts, and their armor could not stop the heavy rifle rounds the humans were using. "Impossible," Tyler shouted into his radio. "They are just primitives. How are they penetrating our defenses?" But there was no time for analysis. The humans were not just shooting randomly. They were using tactics, working together, coordinating their fire. Some humans targeted the aliens' weapons, while others aimed for their equipment. Still others were flanking around the sides, trying to surround the Zelani squad. Pete Williams had crawled through a drainage ditch to get behind the aliens. 72 years old, he moved like a soldier 30 years younger. When he popped up behind a Zelani warrior, his shotgun blasted close range, overwhelmed the alien shield completely. "Got one," Pete called out, then disappeared back into the ditch before return fire could find him. The Zelani were learning a terrible lesson. Humans did not fight like other species. They did not panic or run. They did not try to negotiate or surrender. They treated the battle like a problem to be solved, and they were solving it with frightening efficiency. Tyler watched his squad, being picked apart by enemies they had expected to defeat easily. "Fall back to the shuttle," he ordered. "We need reinforcement." But the humans had anticipated this. Bobby Martinez, the teenager who had first filmed the aliens, had spent the last hour rigging explosives around the shuttle. His father worked in mining, and Bobby knew how to use dynamite. The shuttle exploded just as the surviving Zelani reached it. The blast threw alien bodies across the field and left Tyler's squad stranded on hostile ground. "Shuttle destroyed," Tyler reported to his ship. "Squad casualties at 70%. Request immediate extraction." From the Aurora, Captain Vera listened to the reports with growing alarm. "How are primitives defeating our warriors?" "They are not fighting like primitives, Captain. They are using combined tactics, multiple weapon types, and they seem to know exactly how to defeat our shields." "That is impossible. No primitive species has ever adapted so quickly to our technology." But the evidence was clear. In less than an hour, the humans had wiped out most of the landing party and destroyed their shuttle. More troubling, other reports were coming in from around the world. The humans were not just fighting back in Montana. They were launching attacks on the orbital fleet itself. Dr. Lisa Grant stared at her sensors in shock. "Captain, I am detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface. Projectiles heading toward our fleet." "What kind of projectiles?" Vera asked. "I am not sure. They appear to be primitive rockets, but they are moving very fast, and there are many of them." On the main screen, the crew watched as dozens of missiles streaked up from Earth. The weapons looked crude compared to Zelani technology, but they were numerous, and they were accelerating beyond what should have been possible for primitive rockets. "Those are nuclear weapons," Commander Morrison said in disbelief. "They are firing nuclear weapons at us." "Shields up," Vera ordered. "Prepare for impact." But the human missiles were not what they appeared to be. Each one carried multiple warheads that separated during flight. Some were nuclear, others were kinetic penetrators designed to punch through armor. Still others carried experimental electromagnetic pulse weapons that would overload alien electronics. The first missile reached the Zelani fleet and exploded in a flash of nuclear fire. The ship's shields absorbed the blast, but the EMP that followed shut down several key systems. Before the crew could recover, kinetic rounds slammed into the weakened shields at tremendous velocity. The Zelani, ship warrior's pride, broke apart under the combined assault. Its crew had no time to escape as the ship's hull ruptured and atmosphere rushed out into space. "One enemy ship destroyed," reported General Morgan from her command center. "All units, continue the attack. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." From the Aurora, Captain Vera watched her fleet come under attack from a species she had thought was primitive. The humans were not just fighting back. They were winning. "All ships, begin orbital bombardment," she ordered. "Destroy their cities." Show them the price of resistance. But as the Zelani ships prepared to fire on Earth cities, new contacts up. The battle for Earth had been raging for 12 hours, and Captain Vera Zixnala was beginning to understand that she had made a terrible mistake. Her fleet of 12 ships was now down to 8, and the humans showed no signs of stopping there. Attacks. Captain, we are receiving reports from all across the planet, Lieutenant Kevin Blake announced from his station. The humans are launching attacks from every continent. They seem to have weapons hidden everywhere. Vera studied the tactical display with growing horror. Red dots marked human weapon sites all around the planet. Missiles were streaming up from locations she had never detected, striking at her ships with increasing accuracy. How is this possible? She demanded. Our intelligence said they were primitive. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her analysis station. Captain, I have been studying their attack patterns. These humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. They are learning from every exchange. What do you mean? Watch this. Dr. Grant brought up a video showing the first human missile attack. Their initial weapons were crude but effective. But look at this attack from 2 hours later. The second video showed human missiles that moved differently, used better targeting systems, and carried more effective warheads. The improvement was dramatic. They are adapting in real time, Dr. Grant continued. Each attack is better than the last. They are studying our defenses and finding ways to overcome them. Commander Jake Morrison, monitoring communications, added his own troubling news. Captain, we are intercepting human communications. They are sharing information about our ships, our weapons, our tactics. The entire planet is working together. This was unprecedented. Most species fought in small groups, nation against nation, tribe against tribe. But these humans were treating the alien invasion as a problem that required global cooperation. From his command post in Colorado, General Patricia Morgan watched the battle unfold on dozens of screens. Each screen showed a different aspect of humanity's response to the alien threat. Nuclear submarines were launching missiles from the ocean depths. Air bases around the world were sending fighter jets loaded with experimental weapons. Even civilian scientists were contributing to the war effort. Status report, she called to her staff. We have destroyed 4 alien ships and damaged 3 others, reported Colonel Steve Roberts. Our casualties are minimal so far, but they are beginning to target our cities. Let them try, General Morgan said grimly. We have been preparing for this day for 70 years. Time to show them what human determination looks like. The general was right. Humanity had been preparing for alien contact since the 1950s. Secret programs had developed weapons specifically designed to fight enemies with superior technology. Underground bunkers held supplies and weapons. Communication networks had been built to survive nuclear war and alien attacks, but it was not just the military that was fighting back. Across the planet, ordinary humans were joining the battle in ways the aliens had never imagined. In Texas, rancher Ben Phillips was in his workshop, surrounded by pieces of alien technology that had fallen from the sky. Ben had been an engineer before he became a farmer, and he understood electronics better than most. He had spent the last 6 hours studying fragments of Zelani equipment. Found it, he said to his wife Carol, who was helping him with the analysis. Their shields work on a specific frequency. If we can disrupt that frequency, their defenses will fail. Within an hour, Ben had built a device using car batteries, radio equipment, and parts from his farm machinery. When he tested it on a piece of alien shield technology, the device overloaded and stopped working. It works, Carol said excitedly. We need to tell everyone. She grabbed her phone and started calling friends and family. The word spread quickly through social media and amateur radio networks. Within 3 hours, Similar devices were being built in workshops and garages across the country. The aliens had no idea that their shield technology was being reverse engineered by farmers and mechanics. Back in orbit, the Zelani fleet was facing a new type of attack. Human weapons were becoming more sophisticated by the hour. Missiles that had been easy to shoot down were now equipped with jamming systems and decoy warheads. Fighter jets were using tactics that seemed to anticipate alien responses. "Captain, our shields are being disrupted," reported the chief engineer. "The humans have found a way to interfere with our defensive systems." Vera felt her confidence cracking. How could primitives develop such technology so quickly? "They appear to have reverse-engineered our equipment," the engineer replied. "But that should be impossible. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs." "Unless they are not as primitive as we thought," Dr. Grant said quietly. The truth was beginning to dawn on the Zelani crew. These humans were not the simple, primitive beings they had expected. They were something far more dangerous. In Montana, Sheriff Danny Cooper was leading a team of volunteers in an attack on a second Zelani landing site. The aliens had sent another shuttle down, hoping to establish a forward base. But the humans were ready for them? "Remember what we learned from the first fight," Danny told his team. "Their shields can be overloaded if we hit them with enough different types of ammunition at once. Pete, you take the left flank. Mary, you and your people circle around to the right. Bobby, are those new devices ready?" Bobby Martinez, the teenager, who had become an expert in alien technology, held up a small electronic device. "These should disrupt their shields for about 30 seconds. That should be long enough." The attack began at dawn. The humans used everything they had learned from the first battle, plus new tactics they had developed overnight. Bobby's shield disruptor worked perfectly, leaving the aliens vulnerable to concentrated fire. The battle was over in minutes, but the humans were not content with just winning. They were studying every piece of alien equipment they could find, learning how it worked, and figuring out how to use it against its creators. "Look at this," said Dr. Amy Richardson, the local doctor who had become an expert in alien biology. "Their weapons are keyed to their genetic signatures. But if we can modify the targeting systems..." Soon, humans were using captured alien weapons against the fleet in orbit. The irony was not lost on Captain Vera as she watched her own technology being turned against her ships. "This is impossible," she said for the 10th time that day. "No species has ever adapted this quickly to our technology." "Captain," Commander Morrison said carefully, "perhaps we should consider retreat. We have lost half our fleet, and the humans are becoming more dangerous every hour." But Vera was not ready to admit defeat. She had conquered 17 worlds. She would not be beaten by primitives, no matter how clever they were. "Begin full bombardment of their cities," she ordered. "If they want to fight, we will give them a war they cannot win." The order went out to the remaining ships. Energy weapons began charging for a devastating attack on Earth's major population centers. The aliens would show these humans the price of resistance. But as the first bombardment began, something unexpected happened. The attack never reached the ground. "Captain, our bombardment is being deflected," reported the weapons officer. "Something is interfering with our energy beams." On the main screen, the crew watched in amazement as their most powerful weapons were turned aside by an invisible barrier. The humans had somehow created a planetary defense system that could stop even Zelani energy weapons. How is this possible? Vera demanded Dr. Grant checked her instruments. "Captain, I am detecting a network of satellites around the planet. They appear to be generating some kind of defensive field." "When did they launch satellites?" "We have been monitoring their surface for days." "I do not think they launched them recently, Captain. I think they have been there all along, hidden from our sensors." The truth was staggering. The humans had not just been preparing for this attack for hours or days. They had been preparing for decades. The satellites that were now protecting Earth had been launched years ago, disguised as communication or weather satellites. Humanity had been ready for this war long before the aliens arrived. "Captain, we are receiving a communication from the planet," Lieutenant Blake announced. "Put it through," Vera ordered. The face that appeared on the screen was that of General Patricia Morgan. She looked calm and confident, like someone who held all the winning cards. "This is General Morgan of the United Earth Defense Force," she said. "You have attacked our planet and killed our people. You have exactly 1 hour to surrender or face complete destruction. You cannot threaten us," Vera replied. "We have superior technology and centuries of experience." General Morgan smiled. "You had superior technology. But we have something you do not understand. We have been preparing for this fight since before you were born. We have studied war for thousands of years. We have perfected the art of killing. And now you have given us a reason to use everything we have learned." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Aurora in stunned silence. "Captain," Commander Morrison said quietly, "I think we may have made a serious error. These humans are not primitives. They are something else entirely." Vera stared at the blue planet below. For the first time in her career, she was beginning to understand what it meant to be afraid. Dr. Lisa Grant sat in a sterile white room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. 3 days ago, she had been the science officer on the mighty Zelani warship Aurora. Now she was a prisoner of war, captured when her shuttle was shot down during a reconnaissance mission over Colorado. But the humans had not tortured her or threatened her. Instead, they had given her food, medical care, and most surprisingly, someone to talk to. "You are wondering why we treat you well," said the human sitting across from her. He had introduced himself as Dr. Richard Hayes, a specialist in alien biology. "The answer is simple. We want to understand you." Lisa looked around the room. It was comfortable, with soft lighting and simple furniture. Nothing like the harsh interrogation chambers she had expected. "You should be asking me about our technology, our fleet positions, our weapons." "We already know about those things," Dr. Hayes replied. "We have been studying your equipment for 3 days. Our engineers have figured out how your ships work, how your weapons function, how your shields operate. What we want to know is why you came here. To conquer your world, obviously. But why this world? Why Earth? There are thousands of planets in the galaxy that would be easier to conquer. Why? Choose a world that shows signs of advanced technology and organized resistance." Lisa was quiet for a moment. The question bothered her because she had wondered the same thing. "Our scouts said you were primitive. No space travel, no energy weapons, no unified government. You seemed like an easy target." Dr. Hayes pulled out a tablet and showed her a series of images. "These are pictures of Earth taken from space over the past 50 years. What do you see?" Lisa studied the images. She saw cities growing larger, lights spreading across continents, orbital activity, increasing, development, technological advancement. "Now look at these." Dr. Hayes showed her more images. "These are pictures of the 17 worlds your people have conquered. What do you see?" Lisa looked at the images with growing confusion. The conquered worlds showed the same pattern: cities, lights, technology. But something was different. These worlds were more advanced than we reported. They had space travel, energy weapons, defensive systems. "That is correct. Your people have been conquering advanced civilizations, not primitive ones. The question is, why did your intelligence?" Reports claim these worlds were primitive. Lisa stared at the images, her mind racing. "That is impossible. Our scouts are very accurate. They would not make such basic errors. Unless they were not errors, Dr. Hayes said gently. Unless someone wanted your people to attack these worlds. The idea was so shocking that Lisa could barely process it. Are you saying that we were sent here deliberately? That someone wanted us to attack Earth? I am saying that you should ask yourself why your people have been so successful at finding primitive worlds that turn out to be much more advanced than expected. Dr. Hayes stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Lisa could see human workers repairing damage from the battle. They moved with efficiency and purpose, like people who had done this many times before. Dr. Grant, how long have your people been spacefaring? About 3,000 years. And in that time, how many species have you encountered? Lisa thought about it. Perhaps 50 different species. But most were primitive or neutral. We have only had to fight about 20 species. And you won every time? Yes, we are excellent warriors. Dr. Hayes turned back to face her. Or you were sent to fight species that someone else wanted eliminated. The implications were staggering. If Dr. Hayes was right, then the Zelani had not been conquering the galaxy. They had been doing someone else's dirty work. Who would do such a thing? Lisa asked. Someone who benefits from chaos. Someone who wants to keep the galaxy divided and weak. Someone who uses species like yours to eliminate potential threats. Meanwhile, on the Aurora, Captain Vera Zixnala was facing her own moment of truth. The battle for Earth had been going on for 5 days, and her fleet was down to just 3 ships. Worse, the humans were now launching attacks that used captured Zelani technology. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. Lieutenant Kevin Blake announced. Vera straightened in her command chair. The Galactic Council was the governing body for dozens of species across the galaxy. They rarely interfered in local conflicts. Put it through, she ordered. The image that appeared on the screen was that of Counselor Thane, a member of the ancient, ethereal race. His species had been spacefaring for over 50,000 years and was respected throughout the galaxy. Captain Zixnala, Counselor Thane said, his voice carrying centuries of authority. You have violated the most sacred law of the Galactic Council. You have entered the Sol system without authorization. Counselor, we were not aware that this system was under Council protection. Vera replied, though she felt a chill running down her spine. The Sol system has been under strict quarantine for over 50,000 years. The species that inhabits the third planet is considered a galactic threat of the highest order. You have endangered not just your own people, but potentially every civilization in the galaxy. Vera felt her world spinning. A galactic threat? But they are primitives. They have no space travel, no energy weapons. Captain, Counselor Thane interrupted, the species you call humans are not primitives. They are the most dangerous warriors the galaxy has ever produced. They have been contained on their world for the safety of all civilizations. That is impossible. We have conquered 17 worlds. We know how to identify dangerous species. You have conquered 17 worlds that we selected for you, Counselor Thane replied. Your people were chosen as a cleanup crew, sent to eliminate species that posed minor threats to galactic stability. You were never meant to be conquerors. You were meant to be tools. The truth hit Vera like a physical blow. Everything she had believed about her people, about their great military achievements, was a lie. They had been puppets used by more advanced species to do their dirty work. The humans, she said weakly, what makes them so dangerous? They do not fight like other species, Captain. Most civilizations view war as a last resort, something to be avoided if possible. Humans view war as a natural state of being. They have spent their entire history perfecting the art of killing. They turn every conflict into a learning experience, every defeat into a lesson for future victory. On the screen, Counselor Thane looked sad and tired. 50,000 years ago, Humans were just beginning to develop agriculture. But even then, they were different. They fought with stones and sticks, but they fought with a creativity and determination that terrified advanced species. So you quarantined them? We tried to destroy them first. 7 different species attempted to eliminate humanity before they could develop space travel. All 7 species were either destroyed or absorbed by human military tactics. The humans did not just defeat their enemies. They learned from them, adapted their technology, and became stronger. Vera thought about the battle she had been fighting. The humans had done exactly what Counselor Thane described. They had learned from every attack, adapted to every tactic, and turned captured technology against the Zelani fleet. The final attempt to destroy humanity was made by the Vorthan Empire, Counselor Thane continued. They sent a fleet of over 100 ships to glass the planet from orbit. The humans had just invented gunpowder at the time. What happened? The Vorthan Empire no longer exists. Within 50 years of that attack, humans had reverse-engineered Vorthan technology and launched their own space fleet. They hunted down every Vorthan world and eliminated the species entirely. But they did not stop there. They began expanding across the galaxy, bringing their military concepts to other species. The story was becoming more horrifying with each detail. So the Council decided to contain them? It was the only option. We created a barrier around the Sol system, designed to keep humans on their world. We also established monitoring stations to watch for any signs that they were developing space travel. For 50,000 years, the containment held. Until now, Vera said quietly. Until now. Captain, your unauthorized attack has given humans access to faster-than-light technology. They are already reverse-engineering your ships and weapons. Within months, they will have the capability to leave their system. Vera felt sick. What happens now? Now we prepare for the storm. Humans will not be content to stay on their world. Anymore, they know they are not alone in the universe. They will want to meet their neighbors. Surely they cannot threaten the entire galaxy. Counselor Thane's expression was. 3 days had passed since the human fleet surrounded the alien ships. Admiral Ziktar sat in his command chair, thinking about everything that had happened. His empire had been defeated by a species they had thought was primitive. Sir, his communications officer said, "We're receiving messages from across the empire. Many worlds are declaring independence." Ziktar nodded. He had expected this. The humans had kept their promise. Every world in the empire now had the choice to be free, and many were taking it. How many worlds have left us? He asked. 17. So far, the officer replied. The same 17 worlds we conquered over the past century. Ziktar felt something he had never experienced before. It wasn't anger or shame, it was relief. Those worlds had never wanted to be part of the Empire. They had been forced to join through fear and violence. Sir, another officer said, Admiral Morrison is requesting to speak with you. Ziktar straightened in his chair. Put him through. Jake Morrison's voice came over the radio. Admiral Ziktar, we've kept our promise. Your ships are being returned to full power. You're free to leave. Just like that? Ziktar asked. You're letting us go? We told you we weren't conquerors, Jake said. We're defenders. Our job is to protect, not to destroy. You're no longer a threat to Earth, so you're free to go. Ziktar felt his ship's engines come back online. All around him, the systems that had been dead for 3 days began working again. The humans had returned control of his fleet to him. Admiral Morrison, Ziktar said, may I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you destroy us? You had the power. You had the right. We came to destroy your world. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he answered, because destroying you wouldn't have made us safer. It would have just made us like you. We wanted to show the galaxy that there's a better way. What way is that? The way of choice, Jake said. The way of freedom. The way of being better than your worst impulses. On Earth, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was watching the alien fleet prepare to leave. The quantum field generators were still active, ready to be used again if necessary, but she hoped they would never be needed. Dr. Rodriguez, her assistant Kevin said, "We're getting reports from the 17 worlds that declared independence. They're all asking for our help." Elena smiled. "What kind of help?" "They want to learn about human technology. They want to learn about democracy. They want to learn how to govern themselves. Then we'll teach them," Elena said. "That's what all eyes do." General Patricia Collins was in the Pentagon War Room, talking to world leaders. The victory over the Kethver Empire had changed everything. Earth was no longer a hidden world on the edge of space. They were now a major power in the galaxy. "The question now," General Collins said, "is what do we do with this power?" "We use it to help others," said President Davis. "We use it to spread freedom and democracy throughout the galaxy. But we do it carefully," added President Chun of China. "We don't want to become the thing we just defeated." General Collins nodded. That was the challenge. How do you use great power without becoming corrupted by it? How do you help others without controlling them? "We start small," she said. "We help the worlds that want our help. We teach them what we know. We share our technology. But we never force them to do anything." Meanwhile, in space, the alien fleets were preparing to leave. Admiral Zektar had made his decision. He would return to the Empire, but he would carry a message with him. "Admiral Morrison," Zektar said over the radio, "I want to thank you." "Thank me for what?" Jake asked. "For showing me that there's another way to live. For showing me that strength doesn't have to mean cruelty. For showing me that being powerful doesn't mean you have to use that power to hurt others." Jake smiled. "Admiral, you can take that message back to your empire. Tell them that Earth wants to be friends, not enemies. Tell them that there's room in the galaxy for everyone." "I will," Zektar promised. "And Admiral, if you ever need allies, the Kethver Empire will remember what you did here. You could have destroyed us, but you chose mercy. That's something we will never forget." The alien fleets began to move away from Earth. Their ships were working again, but they were no longer the same fearsome force that had arrived 3 days ago. They had been changed by what they had experienced on the bridge. Of the used Defiant, Captain Lisa Wade was watching the alien ships leave. "Sir, do you think they'll keep their word?" "I think some of them will," Jake said. "And that's enough. Change doesn't happen all at once, Lisa. It happens one person at a time, one choice at a time." "What about the quantum field generators?" Lisa asked. "Are we going to keep them active?" Jake thought about that. The generators gave Earth incredible power over the galaxy. They could shut down any hostile fleet instantly. But power like that was dangerous. It could corrupt even the best intentions. "We'll keep them ready," Jake said. "But we'll only use them if we have to. Power should be used to protect, not to control." Dr. Elena Rodriguez was already working on her next project. The quantum field technology could be used for more than just stopping alien ships. It could be used to create clean energy, to explore space faster, to solve problems that had plagued humanity for centuries. "Dr. Rodriguez," Kevin said, "the President wants to know if we can share the quantum field technology with other worlds." Elena considered that. The technology was incredibly powerful. In the wrong hands, it could be used to oppress people, just like the Kethver Empire had done. "We'll share it," she said finally, "but only with worlds that prove they can use it responsibly. We'll teach them slowly, carefully, and we'll make sure they understand that this technology is meant to protect, not to conquer." Over the following months, the galaxy began to change. The 17 worlds that had declared independence from the Kethfer Empire formed a new alliance. They called it the Free Worlds Coalition, and they invited Earth to join as an equal partner. Other species began to reach out to Earth. They had heard about the humans who had defeated the mighty Kethfer Empire without firing a shot in anger. They wanted to learn about human ideas of freedom, and democracy. Admiral Jake Morrison found himself busier than ever. He was no longer just a military commander. He was now Earth's ambassador to the galaxy, traveling from world to world, sharing human knowledge and learning from other species. "Admiral," Lisa said during one of their diplomatic missions, "do you ever regret what we did? Do you ever wonder if we should have just destroyed the alien fleet?" Jake looked out at the stars. "No, Lisa, I don't regret it. What we did that day wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about showing the galaxy that there's a better way to resolve conflicts. We proved that you don't have to destroy your enemies to defeat them." "And if they come back?" Lisa asked. Jake smiled. "Then we'll be ready. But I don't think they will. The Kethfer Empire is changing. Slowly, but they're changing. Admiral Zektar has been promoting officers who believe in mercy instead of cruelty. It's a start. Back on Earth, children were learning about the day aliens came to destroy their world and how humanity replied with wisdom instead of violence. The story was told in schools across the planet, but it was always told with a warning. Power without wisdom is dangerous, the teachers would say. Strength without mercy is cruelty. What made humanity great wasn't our weapons or our technology. It was our choice to be better than our enemies. Dr. Elena Rodriguez lived to see her quantum field. Technology used to power entire star systems with clean energy. She lived to see human colonies spreading across the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as explorers and teachers. General Patricia Collins became the first director of the Galactic Peace Corps, an organization dedicated to helping species resolve conflicts without violence. Her motto was simple: talk first, fight last. And Admiral Jake Morrison? He became known throughout the galaxy as the man who showed that true strength comes from knowing when not to use your power. His words on that day became famous across 100 worlds. We replied once, and that was enough. The Kethfer Empire still existed, but it was no longer an empire of conquest. Under new leadership, it became a federation of worlds that chose to work together instead of being forced to submit. Admiral Zektar himself became one of the strongest advocates for peaceful expansion. Years later, when historians looked back on that day, they called it the moment when the galaxy grew up. It was the day when might stopped making right. It was the day when species learned that they could be strong without being cruel, powerful without being destructive. And it all started with a simple decision. When the Kethfer Empire threatened Earth, humanity could have responded with anger and violence. Instead, they chose to respond with wisdom and strength. They replied once, and that was enough. The galaxy was never the same. And that was exactly what humanity had hoped for. In the end, the greatest victory wasn't defeating the alien empire. It was showing them, and the rest of the galaxy, that there was a better way to live. A way based on choice instead of force, on cooperation instead of domination, on hope instead of fear. That was humanity's gift to the stars. And it was a gift that would keep giving for generations to come. The story of the day Earth was threatened became legend. But more importantly, it became a guide for how civilizations should treat each other. It became proof that sometimes the best way to win a war is to choose an